Hey everybody, this is David McGuffin. Welcome to Travel Talk Tuesday. It is June the 29th, 2021, and we are on the island of Santorini, Greece. We've just arrived here this morning. We've got 3 nights here, and it's just a beautiful place. Perfectly sunshiny weather. It's about middle 80s, a little breeze blowing. We're at our hotel pool here, and I'm just kind of giving you an intro about today's talk of Travel Talk Tuesday. And we're going to deal with the city of Athens, which is about 300 miles north of here on the mainland. But we were there a few days ago, and we went up and shot some video footage on top of the Acropolis, the Grand Temple Mount in Athens. So I want you to take a look with me as we explore the Acropolis of Athens, along with the temples, the Parthenon, and the Erytheon. This pedestrian walkway was built around the Acropolis in 2009 to coincide with the opening of the new Acropolis Museum. And it is just a wonderful pedestrian area going all the way around to the Plaka area and coming back on a little street called Odeon that brings you back to the museum itself. We're here just a couple of weeks after Greece has reopened to tourism post-coronavirus pandemic, and not so many people are here. This is the approach to the Acropolis, looking up at the temple of Athena, Nikki. An Acropolis is a combination of 2 Greek words, akro, high, and polis, meaning city. 1400 years before Christ, the Mycenaeans settled here and made this mountaintop a shrine to their gods. Later, around 800 BC, what we now know as the Greeks settled here and set up a temporary temple to the goddess of the city, Athena. The Athenians lived here in relative peace for several centuries, but everything changed in 480 BC when the Persians invaded for the second time and sacked the city, burning and looting everything, including the temples on the Acropolis. Soon, the Athenians had enough of the Persians and won a magnificent battle fought on the seas known as the Battle of Salimus. The Persians were driven out of Greece, and Athens found themselves victorious. So by 450 BC, Athens was at its peak of power and had plenty of money to rebuild the temples atop the Acropolis. Pericles was Athens' leader at the time, and he used some of the newfound wealth from defeating the Persians to have a grand vision of a huge temple mount, as what we know today as the Acropolis of Athens. And what you see dates from 447 to 438 BC up there on the Acropolis. This is the temple of Athena, Nikki. Now, Nikki is a word in Greek that means victory. So Athena's victory. It was built around 415 BC, just as the grand entrance, the Propylaea, was being completed. This temple of Athena Nikki is a bit different because you'll notice that the columns on this temple are scrolled columns, not the standard plain Doric. These columns with scrolls on top are known as Ionic columns. The Temple of Athena Nikki was totally deconstructed from 2000 to 2010, cleaned and reassembled, making it one of the newest and newly cleaned monuments on the Temple Mount. As you ascend the steps approaching the Acropolis, you'll see below you this grand Roman-era theater known as the Odeon of Herodus Actus. Now, typically, or traditionally, this is not a theater, but it's called an Odeon because of the musical performances that occurred here, not the plays. Odeon, the Greek word, is like the English word ode, which means song. This Odeon was constructed in AD 161 by a rich Athenian named Herodus Atticus, and it was built in memory of his wife. Also, it had a wood and tile roof over the entire structure, performance area. Because of the musical performances that occurred in there, it helped with the reverberation and the sound that would carry to those who were listening in the seats above. This is the Propylaea. It is the grand entrance staircase to the Temple Mount known as the Acropolis. It was designed to give those who were walking up the steps toward the Temple Mount a little taste of what was in store once they reached those temples up on top of the Acropolis. Here you see another perspective of the entrance and walkway up through the Propylaea. Beautiful blue sunshine sky today. Another look at the Temple of Athena Nikki, and some grand views looking back to the west from the very top of the Propylaea. Down below you see the main entrance of the Propylaea. Exiting the Propylaea, the Parthenon's west facade is staring you right in the face. Sitting 490 feet above sea level, the Parthenon is mostly in ruins right now, thanks to a mortar shell launched by the Venetians in 1687 when they were fighting the Ottomans, who were storing gunpowder inside the sacred temple. Thankfully, it's all being put back together as it once stood, thanks to an ongoing project begun in 1986 by the Greek government and the EU. So one day, maybe it will look like it looked before the 1687 mortar shelling. This is the front of the Parthenon, the eastern entrance. And this is the Greeks' largest Doric temple, 228 feet long, 101 feet wide. There are 8 rows of fluted Doric columns along the front and back side, with 17 along each side. It's a pretty impressive thing. And then inside, there's some Ionic columns flanking the inner sanctum of the Parthenon as well. Here we have a nice look at the temple known as the Erytheon. You can see it here. We're panning back from north back to the west entrance, looking across what is the ancient Greek agora. The Erytheon has this magnificent porch on it here that contains 6 young ladies known as the Caryatids. Nearby is an olive tree commemorating the original one put here by Athena in honor of her face-off with Poseidon. The olive tree has been called the gift of Athena to Athens. And my gosh, Greece has more than 100 million of these trees growing all over the countryside. Notice that the columns here on this side of the Erytheon are of the Ionic order with scrolls. Still looking at some of the finer detail of these columns on this side of the Erytheon, these Ionic columns. Now, getting back to the Caryatids. They serve as a fine example of one of the first times that the Greeks added architectural elements and artistic elements together. Architectural being columns to support a roof, artistic being those of the Caryatids, young ladies in perfect form holding up the roof. Panning from the top of the Acropolis, we pass the Lycovitas Hill, this flagpole holding the Greek flag, looking to the Plaka region, over here to the area of the Caryatids, and then looking further on, we're seeing the Greek flag on the sort of the east facade of the Acropolis Hill, along with that monastery mountain in the background called the Lycovitas Hill. And this is the basically new 2009 Acropolis Museum that you see holding all of the artifacts found atop the Acropolis. A wonderful display here on the Acropolis Museum, and we are looking pretty much south from the top of the Acropolis here. This is the temple of Olympia's Zeus. And then coming up down in the Agora is the temple of Hephaestus, one of the best preserved temples in Athens. Here's Mars Hill, just down from the Acropolis where the Apostle Paul preached to those living in Athens. And a few days later, I took a group of my clients up to the top of the Acropolis again. And here it was right in the middle of the day, about 3:30 in the afternoon, and again, there was just very, very few people up there. It was close to 100 degrees. David McGuffin here, post-COVID travel in Greece. I'm up here, what are we, the 24th of June, 2021. And you're looking at the Acropolis, the entrance to the Acropolis, here over my shoulder. So I'm facing Parthenon, which is just here in front of me, but I wanted to show you this because there are very few crowds. There's no crowd up here at all. Maybe if there are 50 people on top of this Temple Mount, that might be an exaggeration. But there you see the west facade, the back of Athens' famous Parthenon. Hey, you ought to come here with me. We got some great tours visiting Athens, the Peloponnese, and some of the islands as well. Hey, continuing on with my theme of an empty Acropolis. I'm made it around to the west side, the front entrance to the Parthenon here. I'm actually standing overlooking back, like I said, to the west over the city of Athens. But what an amazing time to be here without any tourist crowds. And we've got this Parthenon all to ourselves. Built in the 430s BC before Christ. Hey, your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe. You need to come to Greece with me. We got some tours going. Look it up, davidmcguffin.com. Hey, David McGuffin here. We are in Athens having dinner on the rooftop of our hotel, the Herodus Hotel. And my group is singing in the background an original Greek song. We can hear it. And so we're at dessert. Let me see if I can show it. It's I've got Charlotte, Leslie, and Stephen right here next to me. They're not on camera, but what is this dessert called? Nobody knows? A chocolate tomato of sorts. Let me show it to you. I've kind of dug into it, but it's a hunk of chocolate, like 70% cocoa chocolate. On the outside, a lot of chocolate crumbs. Inside is a frozen fruit. I'm saying it's an apricot. But you know what? The dessert is not the star of the show. The star of the show is right here behind us, and that is the Acropolis of Athens and the Parthenon up there. It is what an amazing experience to be right here with just a few people in this restaurant, a few people in Athens, 20 people on the Acropolis this afternoon. I can just tell you, it's a pretty amazing experience to travel in these post-COVID times. It won't be like this for long. As a matter of fact, in my lifetime, it's probably a once in a time event in my lifetime. So if you want to come to Athens, we've got some tours in September. Look it up, September 16th, I believe. My Taste of Greece tour. But look it up, and we'd love to have you join us. Hey, your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe. See you later. Hey, David McGuffin here again in Athens, looking just beyond sunset at the Acropolis and the Parthenon here. Then I'm spinning 90 degrees, and we look at the Acropolis Museum behind us. And look at all the artifacts that are right there in the, I say newly opened, 2009, this museum opened, and it's displaying the original frieze and pediments of the Acropolis, of the Parthenon and the Acropolis. So you see them all illuminated behind me in the museum. What a great experience to be here in Athens. And we got so much American music playing here on the stereo. We've had a wonderful dinner with my group, and we're just having a great time. So your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin in Athens, Greece. Twilight at the Acropolis. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed looking at Athens and the Parthenon, the Erytheon, the Acropolis, and the little forum down below, and the Temple Mount of the Acropolis. We just had a great time. you could see by all of those videos there wasn't so many people there. That one particular section I showed you when we were up there at 3:30 in the afternoon, there really was about 20-25 people up on the Temple Mount, and that's just unheard of. So now is a great time to travel, no matter where you're going in Europe, I think, but if we could speak firsthand about traveling here in Greece, because there's very few people here, and the people in Greece, the hoteliers, all of the restaurants are welcoming us with open arms because they want to see some tourism come back to their country as well. Thanks for watching tonight. We'll catch you next week as we visit another destination on our tours. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.